Happy Monday. Happy Monday to everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. For those of you who are new here, I am Alicia Johnson, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining us. This is my little corner of the world, I guess the corner of YouTube world, and this is where we come to help everyone who chooses to learn how to recalibrate their lives 12 hours for God, 12 hours for man. And one of the vehicles that we use as it relates to this work is journaling. We use our journals to move us through the process. So if you're just crossing our path, you have found us at a time that we are working through forgiveness. We're going through our 30-day forgiveness challenge. And so we are now at day 16 of the work, but do not worry because all of the archives of the previous messages are there. So you can go back at your leisure and listen to all of the previous recordings, days 1 through 15. But tonight we're just going to go ahead and dive right on in so that we can make sure that we cover everything that we need to cover as it relates to tonight's topic. So we are now at day 16, and tonight we will be discussing forgiving yourself for being judgmental. Your assignment: reread your dedication so that you will remain pinpoint accurate in your journaling focus. Take some time today to list all of the areas or all of the times you can remember that you stood in judgment of anyone else. Judgment requires that you assume you know everything about a person and that you can conclude that their actions are not warranted. It's like playing Holy Ghost Jr. Why? Knowing how you have judged or misjudged opens your eyes to see more in the way that heaven sees. The benefit: forgiving yourself for judging others places you in the correct posture to receive correct reprimand from heaven in a gentle and loving way. Day 16, forgiving yourself for being judgmental. One of the things that I teach in this community, one of the things that I constantly share with this work is that I am a product of the product. So just like you are doing the work, I am doing the work too. So don't think that I'm just giving out these assignments and I'm just giving you this stuff to do and I'm just watching from afar, eating popcorn and laughing. I'm doing the work just like everybody else. And this is so it's humbling, it's exciting, and the work is not easy. The work is not easy. And so, one of the things today was very fascinating for me because heaven really began to show me that I still got work, I still have work to do. So, for those of you who know me, you know that I do this work as it relates to the 1212 community, which I am very grateful for. And I love this work like no other. Like this is my baby. This is what I do. So I'm always looking for new ways to help people, new ways to illuminate different things, new ways to help people to just move through the process, to bridge heaven and earth, to help people to understand how to operate both in the spirit realm and in the natural without interruption. And so that is my purpose, that is my passion, that is my calling, that is one of the things I love. But I also have a day gig, and the day gig is what keeps me very humble. The day gig keeps me very humble. And so today, all of these assignments and things of that nature, heaven always gives opportunity to learn new things in different and unique ways. So I'm going to share today a little, I didn't even know, I don't really thumb ahead in the journals as it relates to the assignment until it's time for me to, I've done these journals, I can't tell you how many times. So the lessons, I am a product of the product. So I walk and talk and I am the lessons. Okay. So I don't have to then how can I put it, like prepare weeks before or whatever, simply because God is always working with me in different areas. So with that being said, so today on the day gig, God Woo! So today on the day gig, it was so interesting because I was trying to work through something and I couldn't figure it out. But we have a new system at work, so sometimes it's glitchy, sometimes it's user error, sometimes it's just weird. So sometimes you don't know if it's the system or if it's you. So today, the scenario that happened was so powerful because there was something that I personally kept messing up on, but because I kind of this project was pushed over on me or to me after someone quit and left the firm. So I received some of her work, and so I'm sitting there trying to figure something out. And I hate. I don't know about you, but I hate when I'm giving something that someone else started, and if there's an error with it, then you have to like backtrack and figure all that crap out and then, redo it or whatever. So it's like, having to start over. But in the era that was created, it was just like, and then I had to leave early today and all of that. So it was a lot of things I needed to do before I logged off. And so I'm sitting there and I'm getting frustrated. I'm like, "Ugh," I need to figure this out. And so I'm trying to figure it out. But in my mind, I'm like, everybody involved with this was an idiot. Like everybody was I was just I was literally like judging everybody left and right. And so when when I finally figured it out or I was finally guided to the right answer, I realized I was like, Lord Jesus, it was me the whole time. It was me. It was me. It was me. It wasn't that person. It was me. It was me. And so after that little incident, and all I needed to do, because I did research, but I just needed to look in one more place. And because of my impatience, because of me trying to rush, because of me trying to and getting frustrated, I just passed it off to someone else to help me. And so when she came back and was like, well, check here. And I was like, oh, daggone it. There it is. So I was upset with myself because I didn't check that one more thing, which would have resolved everything. So at the end of that scenario, I sat back in my chair and I was like, this is it. This is the last day for this craziness. This is the last day that I do not literally exhaust every single option before I ask for help or before I do anything like that. And this is the last day that I consider or think that a situation is someone else's fault instead of my own. And so I said it, and I was very firm with that. I was like, "This is the last day of Alicia Johnson. This is it. You're gonna stop acting like this. You're gonna stop doing this." So I resigned myself to that promise, and I was like, this is what I'm gonna do. And so God was like, now open up the journal to see what today's assignment is. And it's forgiving yourself for being judgmental. I was like, I bet daggone. Like my dad used to say, I bet Joe Brown. Oh my goodness. So God was showing me that in that scenario, I was judging people. I was judging and assuming that the person that did it before didn't do it right. I was assuming that it was a system error. I was like judging the entire scenario, judging the entire situation. And God was like, "Okay, we can do this all day every day, but just know that it's going to come back to you." And the most interesting thing is, and this is why I love this work in the 1212 community, because it allows you to juxtapose the natural, the worldly system against heaven's system. And it's so humbling to see how, when you are running dual operating systems, how differently you perform under each one. So that little revelation opened up a whole new dynamic for me. And what God began to show me, and this is not just for me, and you can let me know in the chat if this is the same thing for you. But in the world, like doing work in the world is very different than working on your own personal assignment. And I know this to be true because I've been doing this for so many years and watching people and, just being exposed to a lot of different things. You handle your God given assignments differently than you handle your worldly assignments. And this was proven today without a doubt. So the world system has been created on competition. The world system has been created on doing everything just right. The world system has been created out of fear. And so there was a little part of me today that didn't want to seem dumb. A little part of me today that was wanting to show up perfectly. A little part of me today was competing for what? I don't know. The girl ain't even there anymore. It was weird. It was the strangest thing. But we've been conditioned in the world to throw people under the bus, to minimize our side of the story and exacerbate someone else's side of the story. Well, all I did was this, but they did. I was only 5 minutes late, but they were like 2 hours late. Because that's how the world conditions us to fight all the time. Gotta watch your back. Gotta keep your head on a swivel. You gotta, it's a dog eat dog world. And I'm not built for that. But the world has that's why so many people, that's why I believe, okay, this is my armchair psychology right here. But that's why I believe that so many people are suffering because they've been forced to compete in environments that they don't even want to compete in. Like, I don't even want to compete. I don't care. I never forget when I was waitressing and the owner, it was all about money. It was all about money. But whoever had the highest liquor sales received something. I can't remember what it was, or food sales or whatever. So he was starting this little competition. Y'all ain't stupid. Nothing else I can do. I know numbers, okay? I did it and I was like always winning. I did it. I was winning because I was like, what they call it, like cooking the books or whatever. So if I had a party of 4, I would just put in I had a party of 3. Y'all do the math on that. So it looked like I was selling more, right? So if I had a party of 6, I would put down there was a party of 4. And nobody caught on but my conscience, because I was win like some night, I would like mix it up so I wouldn't always win. But I was like, y'all ain't figured this out yet. All you gotta do is change. All you gotta do is change up how many numbers how many people at the table. And so I ended up telling on myself because I felt so bad. I was like, you know what? I don't even feel right doing it. But the competition, I couldn't even believe I was doing that. And then I was taking advantage of people that didn't know how to do it. It was just crazy. It was crazy. I said, Lord, I can't do this. And this was even before I was even on a spiritual journey. It just did not feel right. It just did not feel right to me. So I confessed and I did, I fessed up and all of that. But in hindsight, I had to think that's how the world is designed, competition. And if you get caught up in that mess, then you'll do whatever you need to do to win. And when you're caught up in that competitive thing, then you're constantly judging people. You're constantly trying to figure out what their next move is going to be. You're constantly trying to figure out how they're going to react. You're constantly trying to gauge the scenario. How's it going to work out best for me? So that's in the world. But then I started to understand in God's economy, it works so much differently. Like in God's economy, I'm just like, I'm so humble. I'm so grateful to be around people that excel in different areas than I do. I am so excited to learn and to listen and to acquire new knowledge. No one is competing. In God's economy, there's no competition because everyone's work is clearly defined. So there's no one upping anybody. There's no trying to do something faster or better or anything like that. You just want to do your part and you want to do your part well so that it enhances the team. The world will let you know that if you're not up to snuff, then the world will find somebody else. You can be demoted, you can be fired, you can be promoted, the world will just move you around like little chess pieces, whatever benefits the world. You can always tell what realm of the spirit you're working in if you're operating in a heavenly realm or an earthly realm based on the level of judgment involved. If you're finding yourself being really judgmental, then 9 times out of 10, you are operating in a very worldly scenario. And it's very difficult to continue on in that vein when you know the difference. After that little situation today, it just really humbled me. I'm like, God, just continue to show me. Continue to show me how to improve myself, not from competition, but just so I can be better, so I can be a better contributor, so that I can show up greater, so that I can show up to be more of an asset. Misjudging the situation, misjudging scenarios, it makes the whole dynamic very heavy. And life is heavy enough without your judgment. So today is the day that you sit and you really become honest with yourself. Like, how are your judgmental tendencies holding you back? I don't care what it is. I don't care what it is. It could be as little as and you can always tell, like when people are standing in judgment of you, people are always judging something to some degree. So don't think that you can ever eliminate yourself from judging, but you want to turn judgment into an asset instead of a liability. And what does that look like? When you are standing in judgment, if you will, but you're doing it from a very pure and humble place, you can use that information to make yourself better and to make the scenario better. Now, I wouldn't do it like that. Or you can say, you know what, I wouldn't do it like that, but I would do it like this. So let me help you. So you've immediately turned that scenario around. So if you hypothetically, let's say that you walk into someone's house and you walk into their house is not as orderly as you would like it. So some people would stand in judgment of, "Ugh, I don't know how you live here. This is just so unorganized or whatever." But to turn that around, like, oh, girl, I see these kids are running you ragged. Now I can help you. Let me help you organize this playroom. Let me help you pick these toys up. But let me help you let me help you to show your kids how to take part in the activities. So you can pay attention to how you are showing up, and you can immediately turn that thing around. And so this is very important that we begin to understand how to turn these things around so that we can learn to operate more powerfully. A lot of times people don't want to deal with their judgmental tendencies because you don't want to feel like you're wrong. You don't want to feel like you're the villain. And you can always tell, like, when people are judgmental but don't want to be judged, but it's just weird where they say they, they hide it or they gloss it over with but that's just how I feel. Like, that's just, it's still judgment. It may be how you feel, but you're still judging. But you can always do these things in love. Everything can be done in love. I think the best demonstration of that publicly, and I like her a lot, Tabitha Brown. If you have, you follow her and all of that, but when I believe, was it Wendy Williams that came for her? And we all know what Wendy Williams's stance was on that. I mean, she made a living off of judging people. But Tabitha Brown was like, "Nah, girl, I ain't going there with you." And she approached that thing in love. She could have judged her back, but she didn't. That thing was so smooth. I was like, "Oh my gosh." And I don't know, but I don't think Wendy Williams has been right since then. I'm just like, "Oh, Tabitha Brown just knocked that thing all the way out in a very loving way." And that is very telling when you begin to understand that love does conquer all, and the world is not ready for it. When you approach everything from a higher perspective, from a spiritual perspective, and this is so beautiful. Even today, this was yet another example of how heaven wants to work with us in the secret places. God kept telling me, look a little bit deeper, look a little bit deeper, I don't have time for this. I gotta log off soon. If I had done taken that one more step, that would have been between me, God, and that computer. This is why I pay attention. I say, and I consistently say, keep your circle small. Initially, that problem started out with me, God, and the situation. I made it a little bit bigger when I did me, God, the situation, and I started thinking about the other person. And then I made it me, God, the situation, the other person, and then I added in an assistant to ask her some questions. You see how the circle started out like this small and then just started getting bigger? And then I made it even bigger because it was me, the situation, God, the assistant, the other person in my mind, and then I added my supervisor. That circle just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But the problem was resolved, so now the circle collapsed because the situation is closed. But we have to pay attention to how we are contributing to the drama in our lives. How much drama has expanded and exploded and just, I mean, it's just like bigger than it was ever intended to be because you kept expanding the circle by adding people, not doing what you're supposed to do, by continuing to worry about it. It just gets big and big and big and bigger and bigger and bigger. And then that's all you can see. It's the scenario. When people come to me and talk about problems that they feel are overwhelming them in their lives, that is an indicator to me that they have made that scenario, they have made that circle too big. Now, how many people are involved in this? Seriously, how many people are involved in this? And they start as, oh, the circle's too big. It's too big. We've got to learn to minimize the circumference of the circles that we create. We've got to. Jesus taught us that when Jesus was in the garden, like just before he was going to be crucified. And so the which disciple chopped off the guy's ear? This is the Alicia Johnson Always Journal version. But anyway, so Jesus is like, I'm getting ready. This is a big deal in my life. Everything's getting ready to change. I need y'all to be here with me and all of that. So the guy, I guess he got scared or something or whatever, and just chopped the dude's ear off. Peter. Yeah, thank you. Chopped the dude's ear off. That was a worldly reaction. A worldly reaction to a spiritual assignment. And Jesus is like, oh my God. As if I don't have enough to do. Now I gotta go put somebody's ear back on. Ain't this something? So he went and fixed the guy's ear and went on about his business. But that's what God is trying to teach us. You do not have to bring worldly solutions into spiritual assignments. Spiritual assignments, spiritual directives, or spiritual actions work well in the natural, but the inverse does not work so good. Bringing natural inclinations into spiritual situations is very damaging. So you have to understand that the direction does not flow both ways. So as you're going through this process tonight, allow God to reveal to you in a very loving way, because heaven wants you to heal in the secret places. I promise you that. Heaven is not into airing your dirty laundry. Heaven is not into doing that. And this is why it's so important. And I see in the comments, Christine put a scenario. Was this today, Christine? Your scenario with the gossiping at the lunch table. I think my chat is all the way down. I don't know how to move it up, but heaven gives you opportunities all the time to gauge, for you to gauge to see where you are. For you to gauge. And that is so powerful. Today, God gave me an example. God gave Christine an example. And this is how, when we start to do this work together, where two or more are gathered in Jesus's name, like heaven is here with us. So because we're all doing this work together, heaven is going to use the world as your playground so that you have the opportunity to, in community, to see and to know that heaven is definitely at work. Definitely at work. I do not take it lightly when my daily assignments or my daily reprimands line up exactly with the work that I'm doing. Because the world is the playground that heaven uses to allow you to exercise. To exercise the work that you've been doing, to actually see how it works. And it's so exciting when you actually do it with your eyes wide open. So, y'all have fun with this one today. Forgiving yourself for being judgmental. I cannot reiterate this enough, but you will not go from 0 to 60 overnight. So, do not think you're going to wake up tomorrow morning and say, I've dealt with my judgment, so I'm not judging anyone ever again. You're going to judge again. I'm going to judge again. But each and every time we do it, it's going to hit differently. Once heaven does a complete work in a particular area, your response time is quick. It's a lot quicker because you have become sensitized to how heaven works in your life. Like, I can't, in good conscience, I can try to lie, but lies do just don't sit well with me anymore. Like, I just can't even get comfortable if I lie. I used to lie over. I mean, some of the dumbest stuff. Things that didn't even warrant a lie, I would lie about. I could. Oh, now it's like, well, I can't even rest well. That wasn't even the truth. Let me tell you the truth. No, I don't want to do that. I'm not gonna do that. No, this don't taste good to me. I don't like this. No, I don't like that color. No, I don't know. Can I see what else you got? When you operate in truth, you're going to lessen some of your suffering time, because a lot of times we suffer just because we didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings, or we didn't want to feel out of place, or we didn't want to be the oddball or whatever it is. But today is the day that I challenge you to allow heaven to do the deeper work that you require so that you can move through this thing called life at a higher level. And one of the ways that you're going to be able to do this is to get your judgment under control. So y'all have fun with this. Um I'm grateful that God gave me this real-time example today. But I also be praying that God use other people too. So I'm praying that God give y'all some examples of this and not always use me. So anyway, that's that's my prayer. So thank you so much for showing up this evening, showing up for yourself, showing up to get this forgiveness work, showing up so that you can rise higher, showing up so that you can show heaven that you're serious about this. And the quicker you get into alignment, everything else is going to fall into place. I promise you that. All right, y'all have a good night, sweet dreams, and I will see y'all tomorrow. Love you all.